Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is the Ready, Set, Go preview show. And this is a show that I have been doing consistently, mostly on Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. And this is actually our 60th episode, which is, I think, a pretty important milestone. We've actually been crushing a lot of milestones as of late. So this is the 60th show that we've done for Ready, Set, Go on Regie Collects. We, earlier this week, hit and then exceeded 1 million views on YouTube. And we also just recently exceeded 7,000 subscribers here, as well as we are on track to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And I know I just rattled off a lot of numbers, and numbers are important. But the most important thing that I think we've done is continue to grow this community that surrounds the channel, but do so in such a way that we haven't lost ourselves, right? We are still having a lot of fun in the chat, in the comment section. We're still being very respectful of one another, even when we have differences of opinion. And that is honestly what I am probably most proud of, right? I have actually made friends with a lot of people that come to this chat every single week. I mean, I think that there are some people that have not missed a show, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm clearly here because I am on the show, but there are also people that are in the chat that have been here every single week as well. And I think we've done such a fantastic job of becoming friends with one another, but I think you guys as well have made a lot of friendships. I know a lot of you here actually speak to one another offline as well, sometimes on phone, sometimes in direct messages. And those are the things that I think that I'm most proud of. So if this is your first time watching this show, welcome, because you're going to hopefully find out that this is a pretty awesome place to hang out. So before I lose that super chat, I want to acknowledge that real quick. There's a little countdown for me that tells me how much time remains before it disappears. So EE, thank you very much, bro. I definitely appreciate the super chat there and the well wishes, man. I absolutely appreciate it, my friend. So, and again, this is all thanks to you guys. I mean, I would basically be talking to myself if it weren't for you guys showing up every single week. So let me say hello to some comic book soldiers that have joined me here for this Sunday night. My man Matthew is here. How you doing, brother? Annie, how you doing? Hawkeye is in the house. James Tomlinson, newest Patreon member right there. Shout out. Oh, other side. There we go. Newest Patreon member right there. Hawkeye, is good to see you. James Tomlinson is in here. B Comics is in the house. Tina, how you doing, my friend? It is good to see you. Sully, Two Kings, my man Matthew Woods. Rye, how you doing? Super honorable nephew, how you doing? Bro, you burned up probably 2.5 hours of my time today. I'm going to tell you right now with some suggestions you made on the community tab. 2.5 hours. The video, when it drops, you better watch it at least 2 hours worth of time. That's all I'm saying to you, super honorable. Chris is in the house. How you doing? Harvey Abel, another Patreon member, new Patreon member. Harvey Abel, thank you for the support, brother, that you are showing the channel. Antoine Williams is in the house. Backseat driver, newest Blue Wrench is in the house. Steve, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you. High Voltage Mark, scrolling down through the names here. Philip is in the house. Brian is here. Nostalgia Junkies. All right, so with that, I want to go ahead and jump into this. I actually have, there's a lot that I want to try to get to. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I may not be able to do it all in this one setting. I may have to go live tomorrow, to be honest with you, to continue some of the thoughts depending upon how this conversation goes. But what we'll be doing over the course of this conversation is I'm going to get to some news and some current events in just a moment. In some ways, I'm going to be following up on some things that I've talked about. I'm also going to be talking about some new things that that have kind of bubbled to the surface. I'll speak about that. I'm going to give you guys a preview of some of the videos that are going to be coming out from the channel over the course of this week, as well as podcasts. And then I'm also going to be giving away a really cool book thanks to our sponsor over at GoCollect. And this is the book right here, Savage She-Hulk #1, 9.6. This is the book that we will be giving away tonight. Shout out to the folks over at GoCollect. And then I'll show you the book that's going to be given away for the 7,000 subscriber giveaway sponsored by Tina. And then I will also show you the book that is going to be given away this coming week. So a lot of stuff to get to, but there are a couple of really big topics that I want to kind of jump into. So the very first thing that I want to address is the news that I released several days ago around CBCS's major signing event. And a lot of people on Instagram and also here on the channel have reached out basically saying, is this event going to happen? And I think there's a couple of you that are in the room that have actually asked that question. And so it is going to happen. And I think a lot of people were worried about it because they could not find it on the CBCS's website. And so what had happened is shortly after I broke the news, a post went up on CBCS's website, and you can actually see it here under news and events. They have this now. They have some details here on the site. And what's funny is that when I checked it, I think was it yesterday? Yes, when I checked it yesterday, it had just, I think, been like modified where they actually provided some details before this link right here actually wasn't even active. But basically, the signing event, the major signing event that CBCS announced via email several days ago is indeed going to happen. It is now officially on their website. Rest assured that it's going to happen. And it was basically as I suspected. I spoke to one of the guys over there, Matthew. Matt. I think his name was Matt. He basically was like, it is much easier for us to send emails than it is to get things updated on the website. And so, again, when I went and checked, I saw that was up there. But in talking with him, I was also able to get some additional details for you guys, because I wanted to dig into a couple of things. And so one of the things that I was curious about was whether you could get your book signed and whether you could do the raw grading or whether it had to be slabbed, right? Because CBCS actually has a service that is slightly different from others in that they will actually grade your book and place it in a Mylar, right? That is their raw book grading. According to Matthew Edwards, they will not be offering that. So if you send your book in, you do have to have a membership and you do have to get that book slabbed. They are offering all of their other services. So if your book needs to be cleaned or pressed or, signature verified or whatever it happens to be, they will still be offering those services. You just cannot use the raw book grading. Yes, you need an account. He says the submission form is actually available online, so you can actually do that. And he says that you can submit books if you have the free membership, because I think CBCS actually has multiple membership options, and one of them is free. CGC, you cannot mail your free books in. The free books have to be hand delivered at a con. But in this case, again, CBCS does allow for free memberships to actually submit books as well. One of the other big questions people wanted to know was whether the books that were sent in that were slabbed as part of this signing event, whether they would get the new case. And a lot of people are really excited about this case. I honestly have not looked into it, but people are excited that use CBCS. They like this new case. And according to Matthew, he says there is a good possibility that these books will be put in the new case, but I cannot guarantee it. So those were basically his statements there, and I believe that Matthew is not a CBCS employee. I think that I alluded to that before. The person that I spoke with previously I think his name was Josh, and it was not Matthew. I believe that Matthew might be a facilitator for CBCS, but I'm still trying to dig into some of that. So hopefully that answers a lot of the questions that are out there. Let me pop down to the chat to see if there are other questions that have come in related to this. What happened to the PG? I don't know anything about PGX, to be honest with you. I'm not sure whether they had a new one as well. Yes, and that is correct. Backseat Driver is basically pointing out, yes, historically, the way that CGC's membership works is that if you had a free membership, you could not submit a book in. It had to be hand delivered. But because of what is happening right now with the thing that I will not mention because they will do some things with my video and monetization, because of those events that are happening right now, free memberships can send books in. The benefit of having a paid membership is that you actually get some additional incentives, some discounts and things like that. But because of what's happening right now, free members can actually send books in. Yep, that is correct. And we've actually spoken about that previously in other videos. So scrolling up through the comments, making sure that I did not miss anything. And I don't think that I did. Yeah, I think we're good with that one. All right. So hopefully that answers a lot of the outstanding questions that people had about the CBCS thing. So the other thing that I wanted to get to, and this is the one that could potentially take a little bit of time. We'll see whether I can work my way through it. And I have to tell you, I have not been able to spend as much time on this one as I normally would because the wife is actually under the weather and has been all week, which has put a lot of pressure on my ability to do research and things like that. But I'm going to attempt to dig into this one, and I'm trying to find the comment now. Can't remember who it was. Might have been Adam. Yeah. So Adam posed a question on the community tab, and he says, Reg, how about a discussion on the ComicHub proposal that came out this past week? It was quickly stalled and shot down within a day or two without any clear reason why. And what I pointed out to him is, bro, there are many reasons why it was shot down. Scroll Madness, thank you, bro, for the super chat. I definitely appreciate it, my man. I appreciate you guys. So let's do this. A lot of people probably don't even know what ComicHub is. So I want to spend a moment or two talking about ComicHub. The way that I see it is that ComicHub is essentially a software platform that has been developed by a comic book retailer, like an LCS, has had the brainchild of creating a software platform. This software platform is one that can be used by publishers, by local comic shops, by us as readers, and then also creators. And essentially, if I understand this thing correctly, it essentially bypasses Diamond. It essentially allows for the distribution, digital distribution of comics directly from the publisher to the end users. It also, I think, facilitates the ordering. So in some, and again, I have not had an opportunity to dig into this, so you have my apologies if I get some things slightly wrong. Somehow or another, you have the ability to order comics through this platform and have them be delivered through your local comic shop. So imagine comic shops want to give you the flexibility to have a pull list and to make it somewhat dynamic. So you see what's coming out, you get to select your books, your local comic shop knows exactly what you want kind of up to the moment, and then they can have a final cutoff, right? Where they're like, cool, I know exactly how many books people want because they're using this software platform. And I think it also has some e-commerce capabilities. So this ComicHub platform, the owners of it basically came out and said, hey, in this environment that we're operating in with this condition, this thing that we will not talk about, right? They are basically saying, we want to make comics still available to readers, right? And they basically started to talk to the publishers and say, hey, will you guys get on board with distributing digital copies of your comics to end users so that they can continue to enjoy them? And the way that I think that it would work, is, let me see if I can get a graphic up here real quick. I may not actually have a graphic of this one. I may not have a graphic, but the way that this thing would essentially work is that a publisher could put out their comics. we could order those comics and get digital copies. The hard copies of those same comics would eventually be sent to the local comic shop for us to actually pick up whenever this thing is over. And on the surface of it, it seems like a really good idea, right? We get content, publishers get to sell books, LCSs get some money of some sort. I don't know how much, but they get some money of some sort. And they eventually will get the hard copies of those books that we then go in and pick up. And the comic book community as a whole, and by the whole, I mean the local comic shops started to speak out against this. And there are some very vocal critics that have criticized what ComicHub was attempting to do. And ComicHub is like, hey, we are doing this for the love of comics. We are not doing this for any other purpose. Let me see if I can actually share their statement. See if I can get this statement up here. And this actually is this the right one? Nope, that's not the right one. Share the wrong one. Sorry about that. I may actually get to that one in just a second. Let me see if I can share this right one. Let me see if I can find it. Bear with me. This is what happens when a significant other is down and you're out of your rhythm. So it says here, this was set up by people that love the comic book industry, and we are looking at ways to minimize the stress of this unheard of situation. These are crazy times. Let's see if we can make things a little bit better. This initiative will be worldwide, with every comic book store in the world being able to join. Right now, we're in a situation where comics can't be shipped out to stores physically. So this would allow you to pay and read your comics in a regular weekly way. And then when they start shipping, they're in your store for you. And so this is the guy that owns ComicHub right here, this guy right here. And on the surface of it, it seems like a really good idea. But a lot of the more vocal comic shop owners out there, one of which is actually here in San Francisco, just ripped the plan apart. And they're just like, no way. And I think that there are many reasons why retailers don't like this idea. And I part of it has to do with the notion of pushing the market towards digital. And if the market were to go towards digital, that would, of course, harm local comic shops tremendously, right? So I think that is a big part of it, right? Comic shops want things to stay physical, because by getting people to come into the shop, not only do they pick up their new comics, but they also buy other things, right? And so shop owners have told me that the books that get sold are oftentimes enough to cover the diamond bill. And so the other things that we buy when we're in the shop, the other toys and some of the other accoutrement, the slab books that are on the wall, the long box digs, that kind of stuff, that also helps add to the bottom line. So I think part of it is the shift towards digital, which I think physical comic shops are fearful of. The other part of it is the loss of revenue that would come from people going towards digital and not coming into the local comic shop anymore. There are a couple of other things here that could be problematic, and it wasn't quite clear to me whether this would cut Diamond out of the process entirely. That's something that wasn't quite clear to me, whether the comics would go directly from the publishers to the local comic shops. It wasn't clear to me whether Diamond was still involved. But if Diamond is impacted negatively, that is also a concern. And it's a concern because a lot of people, I think, assume that we are customers of Marvel and DC and Boom Studios and all of these other publishers. We are actually not the customer. The customer of publishers is Diamond. Diamond is the customer, right? And what's dangerous is that if you have a single customer, which happens to be what Diamond represents for most publishers, a single customer. When things are going well, it's great because you have one place to send your books. You have one place to get your invoice from, one person that actually pays you. If things aren't going well, like they aren't now, then having one customer puts you in a very negative position. But we have to realize that Diamond is the customer. Diamond is who actually buys comics from publishers. It's not us. We don't buy direct, right? And so we also have to remember that Marvel and DC helped to put Diamond in place. They helped put Diamond in the position that they're in because it was beneficial for them. A streamlined distribution model improves efficiency and reduces cost. There's a reason margins for comics are very, very tight. And so by having a streamlined distribution works really well when things are good. When things aren't, it's detrimental, right? And so I think when DC announced recently that they were looking at other methods of distribution, this might have been what they were talking about, ComicHub, right? Because some of the publishers initially were like, hey, we think that this might be good. Image came out. Image said, no, we are not going to be involved with this. And then very quickly, retailers started to speak out and started to verbalize how detrimental this was going to be. In fact, the guy up in San Francisco basically said, any publisher that gets on board with this plan is my enemy. And I wish that I could find the quote. He actually had a really interesting quote with some fiery language in there. But he was basically like, if any publisher gets on board with this plan from ComicHub, they are my enemy. And that is fiery language from a local comic shop. And I think this guy is pretty big. He's pretty respected. He does a lot of talks and things like that at retailer summits and forums and stuff like that. Well-respected guy. And so the thing started to unravel, right? The local comic shop started to speak out and basically say, no, we're not for this. We're not interested in this. As a result of that, the publishers started to say, well, maybe we're not. Maybe we won't do this. Marvel and DC backed away and started to say, hey, the digital stuff we were thinking about releasing, now we're not going to release any digital stuff, right? And so I think it's, I think that my general feeling is that the folks over at ComicHub were trying to do something that they thought was going to be well received by people, and it backfired. It backfired. And I'm just hitting on a couple of the reasons why it backfired. There may be some other reasons why people reacted negatively to what it is that ComicHub was actually trying to do. And this is actually the ComicHub website. But up here at the top, let me make sure you guys can actually see that. See if I can enlarge that. Yeah. So up here at the top, you can actually see that there's different kind of logins for folks, right? And so if you click on publisher, there is actually some fees that are associated with this that a publisher would have to pay. More than 50 items, they would pay $150 per month, which actually isn't a bad price, right? And then the fewer titles you have, the less money you would actually pay. And this gives basically the publisher the ability to actually upload content to the platform for people to be able to access, right? So that is like part one. Let me back out of this real quick. And as you would imagine, because there's a lot of costs associated with a platform like this, when you go into the retailer, there are also costs associated with that. As a local comic shop, if you wanted to use this platform, you would have to pay some money for it. But what's interesting right here is that Comics Pro members and other members of associations, they are actually waiving the fees for people. They're actually waiving the fees where folks that are members of Comics Pro, which is an association for LCS owners, they would not have to pay anything because normally there is a cost associated with it. For a single store, it's $400. And I'm not certain whether that is per month or annually. It is not clear. But there is, you can see down here, low monthly service plan. There was some cost down here that is monthly. So I don't know if this is monthly or not. But again, if you are basically already strapped for cash, this could have been some additional stuff that was put on you. But again, they waived some of the fees. But again, because there was money involved, that could have been part of the reason why people kind of pushed back. The other reason that I think that folks were actually pushing back on what they were attempting to do is because, as people kind of pointed out, if the idea here is for us as readers to be able to get the comics on a weekly basis digitally and still be able to read them. At some point, the publishers will release a ton of books to Diamond. And Diamond, if Diamond's still in it, will release a ton of books to local comic shops. Local comic shops spend a healthy amount of time on Tuesday night getting ready for Wednesday to put books out. So imagine a bunch of additional books hitting local comic shops all at once, right? And so you could, and because we don't know how long this thing is going to last, you could receive 4 to 20 weeks. That was one of the estimates that someone put out, 4 to 20 weeks worth of comics descending upon local comic shops, where they now have to store, sort, and eventually distribute those items to people that have already paid for them and could have paid for those things weeks in advance. So that's a little problematic for a lot of people. And then to complicate it even more, what would happen if we bought a book, was able to get the digital version to read it, and then the comic shop goes out of business? What happens then, right? How would you get your book if you bought it, you got your digital copy to read, you're waiting for your hard copy, but while you're waiting for your hard copy, your local comic shop actually goes out of business? That could also be problematic. And so, I think that, again, these guys over at ComicHub were trying to do the right thing. I think that is my general feeling, is that they were trying to do the right thing, but they maybe did not think all the way through the implications and ramifications of what it is that they were suggesting, and how it might actually land on other retailers, And so I think that, they stepped in it, and then they very quickly, I think, kind of backed away from some of this stuff because they realized the backlash. And I think that there was an informal survey that was actually done of local comic shops, and like 90% of local comic shops that were surveyed in this poll basically said no. They basically said, no, we are not interested. There were some that abstained, and there are some that were like, I'm undecided, but like 90% or so were like, no, this is not a good idea. And so there you go. That is the comic hub stuff that you may have heard about on Bleeding Cool or Newsarama or some of the other news platforms that are out there focused on the comic book hobby. So let me check out what is this? Whenever they come out with the physical comics, maybe they just release it as if everyone was normal every Tuesday rather than getting all the comics at once. That's true, right? That's true. I mean, Brian raises a good point, but here's the problem. Let's say that this thing lasts, let's say that it lasts for 5 weeks, right? You now start to distribute those comics that have been backlogged while simultaneously trying to also receive and distribute the new comics that will continue to come out, right? Because there's if we let them continue producing comics, there will be a backlog, and that backlog will just grow because there's even more comics. So do you release them twice per week in order to kind of catch up the backlog with the new things that are being released? It's just, it's chaos. It's chaos, I mean, I think that we have to remember that retailers, to some degree or another, operate on a $2 margin for a lot of books that they actually sell. It's like a $2 margin, which isn't a whole lot, so it's tough. It's tough. And for me, I'm not going to assume that I know what's best for retailers, because I'm not one. What I will try to do is I will try to ask retailers, ask the customer, if you will, what's best for them. And if they are saying no, then I have to assume, because they're in it, that they know better than I. You know what I'm saying? As a marketer, I'm a big fan of asking my customer what my customer wants, because if I can understand what my customer wants and what their needs and motivations are, then I can deliver that thing, right? In this case, if the customer, the local comic shop, is saying no, there's a reason for it. And if it's overwhelming that way, there is a reason for that, So scrolling down through some of the comments here, there was, I wonder. If you guys throw it up in all caps, it definitely helps me. There was an I wonder that I think, here we go. I wonder if someone is signed up for CBCS Canada, would it allow them to submit? So I don't know that one. So let me scroll back down here because there was another one that started with Regie. See if I can find that one. Regie, I hope they just push back every comic and started off with the first week we missed. Only the first week we're back buying a month or more worth. Yeah, I mean, truth right there. There you go. I mean, I think that's even what, if you watch the interview that I did with Crush Comics, they were basically like, and I think Juan said this as well, that putting a pause to it was probably the best thing that Diamond could have done. They are saying that that's probably the best thing that they could have done right there. And again, if local comic shops are saying that, then I have to trust that they know better than I, and I would also say, look, the truth of the matter is, depending upon how large your collection is, you probably have a ton of books in your collection that you haven't even read yet. That is probably the truth, right? So I am always spending my time reading old stuff, reading new stuff, reading recent stuff, right? So I'm always kind of bouncing back and forth. I have 7,000 comics in this room. I have I have one comic for each one of my subscribers, right? I have more than enough comics that I can go back and read. Do I miss some of the stories that I was in the middle of reading? Absolutely. Right. But I have more than enough reading material at my disposal. There's Marvel Unlimited, there's Comixology, there are all kinds of other platforms out there where we actually have the ability to go and read old digital comics and get caught up on some old stuff that we've always wanted to read. I just read God Country. Oh my goodness, that was dope, right? So it's like I'm going back reading this stuff that you guys are like, well, what about Stealth? What about God Country? What about Red Mother? I'm going back reading all this stuff and I'm loving it. And I'm mad that I missed a lot of this stuff, right? So I would say, is it bad that we're missing this opportunity? Yes, right? But as we've kind of demonstrated with the 2 interviews that we've done locally with a couple of comic shop owners, they are trying to find ways creatively to continue doing what they need to do to keep the lights on and to be here when this issue resolves itself, right? They are going after the governmental loans, trying to get that money. Some of them have applied for unemployment. They've let their employees go with the assurance that when they come back, they'll have a job, but they've allowed people to go apply for unemployment. They're doing online virtual sales. They're doing gift certificates. They're selling back issues and things like that via Instagram. They're doing all kinds of stuff in order to survive. And I think we just have to support them and be there for them. And as Juan said, not forget about them. Not forget about them when this stuff clears away, because, I don't know. Part of the challenge again is if Comics Pro was going to take a small percentage of the money, assuming that because I find it hard to believe that they have the money to go, because I think right now they only have like 100 customers using this platform. I think they only have like 100 local comic shops that have actually signed up for this platform. I find it hard to believe that they can go from 100 to a few thousand comic shops in the US, and a lot more than that if we were to look at the world, and to do it without making some profits. They have to charge money somewhere. So if a new book is distributed for $2, right, then part of that $2 has to go back to Comic Pro, which means that the comic shop gets what exactly? It would be less than the $2 that they would have received elsewhere. And I also read somewhere that maybe the discounts weren't going to be as significant if you went this route. So maybe the margins would actually be smaller as a result of going this route versus your traditional route. I don't know. That's where it started to get a little fuzzy for me, and I need to talk to someone that's actually involved in this stuff that understands it a lot better than I. But I think it gets tough. Let me see. Was there a comment here? There was a comment here. What is this? This downtime could be used by creators and publishers to get ahead on stories. Truth. That is the truth. And I mean, you see some creators, right, who have had loss of income associated with not being able to get to cons, do things like the CBCS signing that they're doing, right? Because I think that's like going to be a mail thing. So like people are going to send their books to CBCS. CBCS is going to get them. They're going to bundle them all up. Then they're going to send them to one creator to get signed and then get them back. I'm guessing that that's how they're going to do it. That's my assumption. But I think that there are ways that people are trying to make money. And then to the point being made here, they could use some of this downtime to get themselves ahead of the curve. So scrolling down through the comments here, because I'm rest assured after reading Giant Size X-Men Nightcrawler, which is slightly better than the first Giant Size, I'm definitely looking forward to reading Giant Size Magneto, which was supposed to be coming out soon, but now is not coming. So I need to know what happens in that book. So keeping my fingers crossed that we get this thing back on track at some point. So High Voltage Mark, thank you, brother. I definitely appreciate the super chat, my man. Yeah, this was a thing. I think this originally came out on April Fool's Day, and a lot of people kind of ignored it, I think, because of that. And then it was just like this swirl of like excitement of just like, no, this is the worst thing ever. It's the best thing ever. It's the worst thing ever. And so it was just, I kind of zoned out of a lot of it, to be honest with you. And I don't think that a whole lot of you paid attention to it either. So I just wanted to kind of share this. And I definitely encourage you guys, if you are curious about this, go read some of this information for yourself, because I could have gotten a couple of things wrong. It happens, you know. Let me see. Paul, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you, my man. Scrolling down through the comments here. What's true is that LCSs get the short end of the stick. LCS may not want an equal share like Diamond, DC, Marvel, but they want more than a fair share of the money that comes into the industry. Truth. Preach. I mean, it is, let's be honest. It is a $1 billion industry. It is a $1 billion industry. You know, I think it was didn't DC just donate $250,000 to local comic shops to help them? I think I saw something like that over the course of the last couple of days. I didn't get a chance to read into it, but I want to say like DC is like, people were criticizing DC for not coming out making certain disclosures like right away. But now, man, you have Jim Lee, who is doing these sketches and selling them on eBay and then donating the money to local comic shops. You have DC proper that is basically donating $250,000 to keep local comic shops open. I think Rob Liefeld has gotten in on the action. I mean, I think a lot of people are really trying to do what they can for the love of the industry, the love of the hobby. And I think that it's fantastic. I really do think that it's fantastic. And that's why I am trying to give the benefit of the doubt to ComicHub, because I do believe that they were trying to do the right thing. I just don't think that they thought all the way through it. I don't think that they started to talk to really their peers in the industry to make sure that the industry was on board with it, you know? But my initial reaction is because of the robust response, the robust negative response to what they were attempting to do. My guess is that they did not do their market research to test the market to make sure that they were doing the right thing. So let me see. Oh man, come on, man. Don't get negative thumbs down on my videos by you, boy entertainment. People love Rob Liefeld. I'm not saying anything negative about Rob Liefeld. Oh man, what is this? When it comes down to it, we have to support our LCS. What is best for them, investing profits for the keep them open. Definitely. So I think, you know, if you have the ability through your local comic shops to buy gift cards, I say do it, right? If they're still doing curbside, I say do it. If they're doing a virtual sale online, I say get involved. If you have your local comic shops DM profile information and there are some books that you want in long boxes, I say send them a list and say, can I ride by and just grab it off the curb? Can you put it in the mail and send it to me, local comic shop? Because it's tough. I'm gonna be honest with you. It is tough for people just to give money, right? And it is also tough for people to take money. But if you buy something, that's a whole nother thing. It's a whole nother thing for you to give money to somebody who is giving you something in return. That's easier for people to do. And so if your local comic shop has the ability to do long box pulls, I say send them a list of items that you still want. Try to support them. $5 here, $10, $20, but whatever it is, it helps. It all helps. And I think it was Longbox Love Affair that was, he was like, is this the new normal? He was unboxing, I think, a box of comics from his local comic shop who mailed them to him. And he's like, is this the new normal? I mean, we've basically been told to work from home until the end of May at this point. So this might be our new normal for some time. So with that, I may try to get back to this at some point, maybe tomorrow or something like that. So yeah, we do that. We do have a plan, my man. I always have a plan. If you you guys remember, and thank you, we'll use this as a segue to get to one of the other things that I wanted to talk about. This is the 7,000 subscriber giveaway book sponsored by Tina. This is Avengers number 196. It is the origin and first appearance of Taskmaster. It is a 9.6, a really, really dope book. Shout out to Tina for putting me in a position to be able to give this away. This is a book that we are going to give away as part of me reaching 7,000 subscribers. Now, the way that you enter it is that you just be a subscriber of the channel. You head over to the community tab and you scroll down, because you have to scroll down. You find the post where I'm talking about this. You basically click on the link and you submit in your information. The other thing that you submit in is the name of your local comic shop, right? And what I'll be doing is posting up a list of those local comic shops. And then for the person that wins this book, I will also be buying $100 worth of comics from your local comic shop. It'll be my attempt to support a comic shop that is not my own, right? So I'll be giving $100 to that local comic shop to maybe send me some books that maybe someone can't buy in their own pull list, and they'll send those books to me. And then maybe I'll pass those books back to the comic book community. But the other thing is that I'll actually be posting up the names of those local comic shops. And if you've been paying attention, I've also been talking to local comic shops. I've been having local comic shops come onto the channel to talk about some of the things that they're doing, like building websites where we can buy books and participating in auctions, right, that they are doing on Instagram. These are the things that I can do to try to support local comic shops that are out there. So I'm definitely on top of that one. All right. If comic stores ever close, do you think that would make old comics worth less money? No, I don't. And this is actually something that we've talked about extensively. This is a topic I've discussed extensively, and I would encourage you guys, I may try to put up a playlist of these things. People tend to think of comics as a homogenous thing. The comic book market is not a single thing, right? And what I mean by that is that there is the comic book market, if you will. And underneath that umbrella are sectors. There are new comics as a sector. There are old comics, maybe pre-code horror, golden age might be a sector. Original art is a sector. Collectibles underneath that umbrella is a sector, right? There are multiple sectors underneath that umbrella, and each one of those vertical sectors operates independently of one another to some degree, right? And what I mean by that is, if somebody stopped publishing comics today, there are comics out there that might actually go up in value as a result of that, right? People that have always collected Golden Age comics, or people that collect Golden Age, probably don't even read new comics, right? People that buy Golden Age because that's what they love. They probably don't even read new comics. There are people that read new comics that don't read Golden Age. There are people that buy modern comics that don't read Silver Age or cannot afford Silver Age. And so therefore they may buy new comics in bronze or copper. There are people that only buy statues and toys. Rest assured, it is under that umbrella of comics. Multiple sectors that have some dependence on one another, but in some cases they operate independently of one another. If they stop producing new comics today, I promise you, Amazing Fantasy 15, Action Comics, these Batman 1, these comics will still have value. Why? Because they are not necessarily dependent upon new comics that are coming out, right? So there is probably a playlist. I may need to go look at it, but there are probably at least 5 videos on the channel right now where I've talked about a crash and whether a crash was possible and what would happen if there were a crash. So a ton of content out there. I definitely encourage you guys to go check it out, because I don't think that, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, man. I think that it could affect prices in the other way, that right. These markets, it's a dynamic market, and the market has sectors the same way. And in one of the videos, I know I equated this to the stock market. And in some economies, tech does really well. When tech went bust in the 2000s, that did not collapse the entire economy. There were other sectors like energy, which continued to do well, even though tech was bad, right? There are other sectors within the economy that will continue to perform. Let's say that the economy itself goes down. What happens? People shift their money to metals, alternative investments, gold, silver, gems, right? They shift their money around. If they have money, they shift it around, but things will continue to churn. It's just the way that it happens. So hopefully that helps. And I probably didn't cover that as well as I could have. So you have my apologies. Rest assured that I cover it better in the videos that are actually dedicated. There you can see right there. There you go. Jess Pele. Jess Pele owns a comic shop, right? And he says the stock market terrifies people right now. So a lot of people are buying vintage comics as a hedge, right? When the economy goes bad, people with money will start to look for alternative investments. And again, this is something that I've spoken about in videos before. Those are alternative investments historically have been gems, precious metals, gold, silver, that kind of stuff, right? But because of what is happening in comics, there are actually people with money that are looking at comics as a way to not hide their money, but hold their money, right? Yeah. So I've had some people like, I'm selling all my comics, and because of what's happening, cool. I'll buy them super cheap, right? Because man, if people feel that way, it's tough. It's tough. You cannot tell people what to do. You cannot do it. All right. So let me continue moving on. I could do this all day. I really enjoy talking to you guys. Yeah, there Chuck talking about regional differences. There you go, man. There you go. Wait a minute, who is this? I actually called up my financial planner. And this is like a couple of weeks ago. I said, look, I think I have some cash in the account. Can you buy some stocks for me? He says, no. First, you work for me. He says, no, I'm not buying it right now because we are not at the bottom. He says, we're not at the bottom. I'm going to wait. And when we get to the bottom, then I will call you and then we will pull the trigger. And I said, well, can you at least think about what I should invest in? He's like, I've already done it. I said, my man. The conversation was probably all of 1 minute. And I got off the phone and I went to my wife and I was like, Tim's got it. But this is the thing. This is the thing. So, all right. So let me give you guys a heads up on some of the videos that are going to be coming out from the channel over the course of this week. And then maybe we'll get back to what we've been talking about because I enjoyed this conversation. So there are a couple of videos that are going to be coming out this week. And I think they're pretty good. So one of the things that people always say is you should buy what you love, right? And people are like, don't worry about values. Don't worry about values. Values come and go. Prices come up and down. Just buy what you love. And it really hit me the other day that if you are new to comics or newly returning to comics, you may not know what you love, right? Because this channel is all about helping new collectors and newly returning collectors, as well as offering up some entertainment for those of you out there that are seasoned veterans. But it occurred to me that we as seasoned veterans, if I can even call myself that, we use these phrases that don't tell people what they actually need to know, right? Buy what you love. Well, what does that mean, right? So in this video, what I'm going to try to do is to offer people some practical tips to identify what it is that they love. And I think it's a good video. I really do. I think it's a vlog format, so you won't see my face, I don't think. But I think that this is a good video. I recorded this one I want to say 2 weeks ago, but I think it's a good video. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. Another one that I'm releasing, and I saw a comment here a second ago, and I chose to ignore it at that time, but I want to talk about it right now. I'm going to be releasing a video to respond to the many people that have asked me about how to buy comics on Instagram. I am finally going to release this video on how to buy comics on Instagram. I've done 2 videos on how to sell comics on Instagram, and I would always point buyers to those videos. Like, just look at those videos, watch those, and just flip the advice. But I finally decided to sit myself down and actually record a video with tips, practical tips for how to actually buy comics on Instagram, how to find them, how to buy them, all that kind of stuff. I again, think it's a good video. Another one that I'm going to be releasing this week is UV protection for comic book rooms. And I made some modifications. If you guys remember, it was probably 2 weeks ago. I was like, hey, do I look any different? I actually made some modifications to the comic book room here in an effort to ensure additional protection for my collection, which is on display. And so in this video, I'm actually going to show you guys how I went about adding some additional protection to the comic book room. And this is in addition to other things that I've done. If you want to see those things, just search for Regie Collects Room Tour, and you will see a tour of my comic book room and all of the stuff that I've done already. And in another video, I'll be unboxing an A-OK. So 4 videos that are going to be dropping on you guys this week. I think that you guys will enjoy them. I think this is a good week for content. I think you guys will enjoy it. And in one of those videos, I'll also be giving you a phrase, right? A phrase that you can use to win a cool book that I'll show you in just a couple of moments. And then there's also going to be one podcast that is going to drop this week. So I definitely want to encourage you guys to stay tuned for all the content. The videos, the pre-recorded videos will be dropping Monday through Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. And then I may also be going live a couple of times this week as well. So you look a little more infrared. Oh, you're a nut. No, brother, Instagram does not do auctions. No. So you got to stay tuned for the video. I think that you guys will enjoy the video when it drops. I think you guys will enjoy it. I think that it's a good video. What I offer to people are practical tips, things to consider, right? And I think you guys will enjoy it. So ultimately, you guys will tell me whether you like the video based upon your views and your comments and your thumbs up on that video. So scrolling down through some of the comments, Just Pele, he's in a bunker. Just Pele operates out of a bunker with no windows below ground, where the temperature is maintained at a very comfortable level. The humidity is nicely adjusted on the fly. Yeah, but yeah, I think it's a good video. I like some Just Pele. You're a good dude. All right, so let's go ahead and yeah, we have a decent crowd tonight. Definitely a decent crowd. So let's go ahead and give away a book. This is the book that we're going to give away. Savage She-Hulk #1, a 9.6 with white pages. Huge shout out to the folks over at GoCollect for putting me in a position to be able to give away these awesome books every single week for the last 60 weeks. I absolutely appreciate you guys taking care of me. And I had an opportunity to talk to the owner of GoCollect earlier today when somebody made me aware of the code that I have on my website, Regie Collects, on the partners page, where you can actually get, I think it's a week free of access to GoCollect. The link, the code wasn't working, and so I reached out to him, and he hooked it up and made some magic happen. So he and I had a good little quick conversation via message. So let's go ahead and I'm going to share my screen here. We're going to glance at the list of names. And then we're gonna randomize this list and give it away. So these are all the individuals that were able to successfully find the video in which I gave them a phrase. And the phrase this week was Jennifer Walters. They were able to navigate over to the community tab, find the post where I talked about this giveaway. They were able to enter in all of their information. And so these are all the folks that are in the running for this week. If you are watching this right now and you do not know how to enter the GoCollect giveaway that I do every single week, I definitely want to encourage you to search the channel for Regie Collects GoCollect giveaway, and you will find a video that actually shows and highlights all of the steps that you need to take to actually get into the running. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm gonna share my screen one more time. We're gonna roll some dice, and then we're gonna randomize this list. So I'm gonna roll that real quick and see what we get, and we have 10. We're going to randomize this list a total of 10 times, and then someone is going to walk away with a pretty cool book. So let's go ahead and randomize this thing. That is 1. Here is 2, 3, 4, 5, halfway there, 6, 7, 8. Here is 9. And the winner of this week's GoCollect giveaway is Randy, Randy Resnake. How about that one? Randy Resnake, followed by Hydra Collectibles over in the UK, Chad Strauss, RLB Hypnotic, and Jim. Those are the top five. My man Randy Resnake is now the winner of a really cool book. So congrats, Randy. Make sure you send me an email, bro, to Regie@regiecollects.com. And in that email, I need you to give me your real name, which I know, your screen name, which I know, your mailing address, kind of sort of know that one too. But send me all of that, and then let me know your shirt size. Right, I have these shirts in light gray and dark gray. They only come in large right now, so you'd have to let me know whether you want the shirt. If you want it, give me the color. If you don't want the shirt, I will give you something else. I have some pins and things like that that I can actually send out, but I will bundle up an awesome She-Hulk book for you and an exclusive variant from GoCollect. Bundle all this stuff up and get it sent out to you in a timely fashion. So shout out to my man, Randy Resnake, for winning this week's GoCollect giveaway. All right, so let me scroll down through the names, and then I'm actually going to show you guys it is a good book, man. I had fun. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I had fun shopping for the books that I've actually been giving away. I've had a lot of fun with this one, going out buying those books and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a couple of really cool books. So I'm actually going to get ready. Let me open up GoCollect real quick because I actually want to show you guys the book that is going to be given out or given away this upcoming week. And so get myself situated. So this is the book right here. This is the upcoming week's giveaway. It is Strange Tales number 138. This is Dormammu in an Eternity appearance. Is an 8.0. It is a Stan Lee and Stephen Ditko story. And then also Jack Kirby worked on this and Ditko actually worked on it. It's actually a really cool book. It is an 8.0 with off-white to white pages. So this is this week's GoCollect giveaway. There you go. So let me show you guys real quick what the FMV is on this particular book. Let me go ahead and pop up my my screen here for GoCollect to be able to share this one with you guys. And this is Strange Tales number 138. So this is the GoCollect interface for folks that haven't seen it. You click on the title here, and then it actually gives you what the FMV of this book is. At an 8.0, this book is valued at $280. It has an FMV of $280, and you can see what that breaks down. If you extend this thing, you can see that there's been 23 sales as of late. The most recent was March of 2020. Book went for $180, $320, $239, $200, $110, et cetera, for an FMV of $280 at an 8.0. And the way that you win this thing, you guys already heard about it. You basically watch the videos that come out from the channel, and in one of those videos, I will give you a phrase, and you capture that phrase. You head over to the community tab, you find the post, you plug in the information. You basically have to be a subscriber of the channel, a resident of the United States, a resident of Canada, or have a mailing address in the US. That is basically it. If you can do those, who is this Kirby guy? Jack King Kirby, baby. This book could be yours in just a couple of days. So there you go. It is definitely a really, really nice book featuring Nick Fury right there. I think those are the guys from AIM, maybe not, maybe Hydra. I don't know. There's some guys on the cover. What I will do is worth 2.8 million, says the Liger King. Man, what I will tell you guys is that this book right here, this is the 7,000 subscriber giveaway book that we're doing. This book this giveaway, I should say, is actually open to anybody in the world. The person that sponsored this, Tina, who is, I think, still here in the chat, she has decided that she wants to open this up to anybody in the world. And so the requirements for this thing, you basically head over to the community tab and you find the post where I'm talking about that book, and you basically plug in your information for yourself and also for your local comic shop. That's it. That's basically it. The GoCollect giveaway is limited to the US and Canada and those that have a mailing address because we have budgetary constraints. Tina has no budget. Tina has no budget. Tina has no bounds. So we're going to ship this one out to anybody, and I'll have to brave the elements by going out to the FedEx to get this book in the mail for you guys. So Thank you, Tina is right, man. She is definitely a superstar. Um, so one of the other things that I will tell you is that I think may have saw a question here is that the books that the FMVs that I show you on GoCollect are only for graded books, only for graded books. They do not show you prices for raw books. But what's cool here is that if you scroll up to the top and you actually click analyzer, and this is something I don't think a lot of people really realize, is that you have the ability to select from the various CGC labels as well as the various CBCS labels, right? The great thing about GoCollect is that they actually pull in data for both CGC and CBCS. There are other platforms out there, I believe, that only do CGC, and that was part of the main reasons why I decided to go with GoCollect, because I've had my membership, I think, for like 2 years, is because I had books that were both CGC and CBCS, and I wanted to know what the values are. And so again, they actually have the ability to tell you values for both across multiple platforms, right? So if books are being bought and sold on eBay and Heritage and other sources, they aggregate all of that data and give you a realistic picture of what the FMV is for the books that you happen to be looking at, but it's only for graded books. If you are looking for raw book prices, I typically recommend people check out comicspriceguide.com. Comicspriceguide.com is a great website. They have raw book prices and graded prices, so you have the ability to use that platform to get yourself some information, but I prefer GoCollect for graded books. All right, so hopefully that helps, folks. Scrolling down through the comments, seeing if there's other things you guys want to talk about. Emerald Knight, thank you for hanging out, brother. Definitely appreciate that. Working on that dad bod. Oh, somebody wants to see the Avengers book. Let's check that one out. So that was Avengers, what was it, 130? What was this one? 196. Let me throw my screen back up. Oh, I actually closed the window. Hold on, let me go back to GoCollect real quick and I'll show you guys. GoCollect, show you guys the FMV for that one. I probably should have done that. Being lazy, I guess. So let me do this one more time. I think it was Scott was asking for the FMV on this one. So Avengers number 196 will do the FMV for this one as well. So it's not the reprints, the real one, the real deal right here. And again, if there's things you guys want to talk about, throw it up in all caps and I'll try to check it out. So this book right here, the FMV for the Avengers 196 is $325. And you can see that there's a couple of sales here back $327 for $293, $280, $280, $348, $295, $245, right? But it basically has an FMV of $325, which is, again, not a bad price for this particular book. I think it's actually one of the nicer Avengers 196s that I've actually seen out there. It's a pretty nice book, pretty clean. I actually only see like one spine tick on this one, which is probably why it actually came back at a 9.6, because it does have this spine tick right here by the word like, which you can actually see it right there between the word for and like. That is why this book was actually a 9.6, because if not for that, this book could have been a higher grade. And it's actually a really nice copy of that book that I don't actually own. Let me scroll. Yeah, so Tim says I use that as well as eBay. So yeah, so the thing is that are you talking about my comic shop? Not my comic shop. Comics Price Guy or GoCollect? Which one are you talking about? Somebody's using Cover Price. Yeah, I interviewed those guys. I think I've spoken to them as of late too. I actually spoke to them a couple of days ago, just kind of reaching out, having a little chit chat. What is this? It costs $30 to slab a book and usually adds more than that to the value of the book. So I have to think about how many dope $30 keys there are that I can buy instead of owning 0 slabs. Does GoCollect show the difference between direct and newsstand? They do. They will show the difference between the two, I believe, if there is a dollar difference between them, right? Because we have to remember that just because a book is newsstand does not mean that it is actually the print run for that newsstand book was less than the direct edition, because as publishers went from all newsstand to the direct model, it was a gradual change. And at one point, the distribution and the print production was roughly 50-50 split between the two. So it wasn't really until newsstand started to get really low in like the 20%, 10%, that those newsstands actually started to have some price differences between the direct editions. But yeah, where there is a dollar difference, I do believe that GoCollect will highlight those differently. And what I'll also say, let me see if I can pull this up real quick, is share my screen one more time with you guys so that you can check this out. Didn't want to share that. Let me see if I can share this one. If you head over to my website and you go to the partners tab, there is a code right here on GoCollect. Regie Collects is the code. You click this link, you head over to GoCollect, you plug in your information, and you can actually get 30 days of free access from GoCollect. And this was renewed earlier today. It actually expired on 4/1, but I spoke to the owner of GoCollect and he renewed it for a little while longer. I can't remember how long, but that has now been renewed. So there you go. There is the code. All right. So hopefully you guys can check that out. Let me scroll down to the names. Let me scroll down. Whoa, I think I just saw something. Yep, there you go. There you go. Just Pele. Thank you for keeping me honest. Are there any good apps besides Key Collector app? It depends. It depends on what you're looking for, right? So I would say Key Collector app is pretty dope, and I love it for when I'm out hunting in the wild, because it allows me to identify the significance of books, because I cannot keep it all up here. So that's a dope app. But I would need to know what you're looking for. Are you looking for places to get information on books? Are you looking for places to buy books or sell books? Like, what are you looking for? Because I can answer the question, but I need to know a little bit more than what was offered up right there. So Key Collector app is my #1 resource because it's dope. It is dope. I love it. I wish they were paying me, but they're not. Pretty fly for a Filipino guy. You were correct, CLZ, and that's why I was asking what specifically they were looking for, because when it comes to apps, this is also a really good one for organizing one's collection. But without knowing what he was looking for, I didn't want to just start throwing out random names, you know. Chronic Comics, thanks for hanging out with me a little bit. Again, new Patreon member right there. Get some rest, my friend. I definitely enjoyed you hanging out. Why do so many people hate Key Collect? I don't know. I have no clue, to be honest with you. The guy Nick over there, you know, I think he's a good guy. I've had no problems with him. I think that what he has done in terms of, you know, seeing an opportunity to create something that was needed for collectors and offering it up, and then finding a way to monetize that. I remember I spoke to him around the time that he was making the transition, and I applaud him for it. I have no problem with people offering up really good stuff and then trying to find a way to make a couple of dollars off it. I don't know. I mean, I remember a period in time where people actually did not like when YouTubers used to monetize their videos. Like, as content creators, people did not like when we started to put ads in our videos. And the truth of the matter is that there's a lot of time, energy, and effort that actually goes into the creation of videos, right? Live streams are a little bit easier, but even this is time, you know what I'm saying? And so I never have a problem with someone being able to recover some money for the time, energy, and effort that put into it. I really don't know why people have a problem with Key Collector app. I think it's dope, and I use it all the time. Thank you, brother. Two Brothers Comics. I appreciate that. Definitely appreciate that. Scrolling down through some of the comments. Yeah, well, that is true right there. That is true right there. Scrolling down through, Key Collector app is okay. My only issue is that every new comic is listed as if you remember James Tomlinson, I actually did a video on that, right? And my video really dealt with the idea that every comic to some degree or another has something significant that happens in it, because why else would you produce a comic in which nothing actually happened? So my question to people was, what is a key? What is the definition of a key? Is it attached to some dollar amount, or is it a comic that has a death, a birth, some major event, some first appearance, some this, that, or the other? Because technically almost every comic is a key. You know what I'm saying? And because of retcons, I mean, comics are becoming, comics that had no significance before are suddenly now becoming important. But, I think that maybe as it relates to the app itself, maybe the word key is a misnomer, right? It is really about what is the significance of this particular book that I have in front of me. And that's where I think it's helpful, right? Because not everything is a key in my mind, but I do want to be able to know, what is the significance? Does something important happen in this book, right? Because you can't, not everything is disclosed from the cover of a comic. And it's impossible for me to open the comic up and try to read through it to figure out the significance. And it's really tough sometimes when you're in shops to like Google things. But the fact that you can pull up Key Collector app and quickly search, if you have internet connectivity, and know what happens in that book, that is super helpful. Super helpful. Oh, what I'll also tell you guys is that I'm actually I'm doing a simulcast right now. I'm actually streaming on is it Twitch? I think I'm streaming on Twitch right now. This is actually something that I've never done. I set up Twitch many months ago as I was looking to see whether there were some things that I could do there. And so today is my first stream on Twitch. I've streamed simultaneously on YouTube and Facebook before, and now I'm streaming on YouTube and on Twitch at the same time. So we'll see whether something actually happens as a result of that. Who knows? Double dipping, man. I'm trying, brother. I'm telling you, I am always trying to improve. I am always trying to find new ways to keep this interesting for me and fun for me, and to grow the channel and all that kind of stuff, And so, and I know you're just joking, but yeah, that's the thing is, I've never streamed on Twitch before. And I reached out to a couple of folks. Like I reached out to Travis over at Comics with Bueller and was like, bro, what is this? Like, what is Discord? Are you thinking about using Discord? How can we use Discord? Like we actually, some of us actually talk behind the scenes to kind of support one another, to really figure out where we want to kind of take things. And, not in a negative way, but more in like, hey, I'm seeing this. Are you seeing this? How is this affecting you? We do some of that stuff behind scenes. So just a lot of cool stuff. Brother, it's going to be a long time, my friend. It'll be a long time before this channel is in a position to be able to support my kids, because, brother, let me tell you, with them staying at home, they do nothing but eat. Nothing but eat. YouTube can't pay the food bill. I'm gonna tell you that right now. No, if that were ever to happen, man, it would be dope. It would be dope, but I don't think that that's in the cards for me, to be honest with you. It would be amazing. I have to tell you that it would be amazing. There, I told I think I was on YouTube. I was on Instagram, and I was talking about how I was doing this lesson. I was doing a lesson, if you will, on how to improve one's YouTube and streaming and, interactivity and stuff like that. Cause I'm always trying to learn, right? Learner's mindset. And there was an example that was cited of a young woman that is a full-time streamer. This is what she does. This is her gig. Mind you, she's probably in her 20s and has, nothing really. But she's a young woman, does this full time. And she eats breakfast. She eats breakfast for a live stream. It's good work if you can get it. She was attractive, so maybe that's it. I don't know. She eats breakfast. She's a full-time streamer, and her gig is eating breakfast. So I don't know. I wish I could do this. I was a communications major, man. I would love to sit around and do nothing but pontification about comics. It would be dope, right? It would be dope. And there are some dudes that do it, right? Comics Explain, fantastic YouTuber. That's what he does. And I want to say maybe with Blurred with Fear does it as well. There's a couple of these guys, man, but they have millions of subscribers. While I am very appreciative of each one of you, we are not in the millions. We are in the thousands. Oh man. No, I have not seen that. Drop one of those G's there, high voltage Mark. Well, you actually gave me a super chat, brother. You spell my name any way you want to spell my name. Oh man, you guys are hilarious. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up. Just as a reminder, a lot of really cool stuff that I think is going to be coming out from the channel over the course of this week. A lot of really cool videos that are going to be released Monday through Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. And in those videos, we are actually going to be releasing an AOK video. Let me do this real quick. Thank you, bro. Thank you, bro. Sully 2 King, shout out to you, man. I definitely appreciate you, my friend. I am very, very appreciative of anybody that spends time with me while we're here, but then also interacts with me offline and sends AOKs and sends super chats. You guys don't have to do any of that. But I am very, very appreciative. I absolutely appreciate you. Almighty Liar King, bro. It's definitely good to see you. Hawkeye, be well, bro. I appreciate you guys. So a couple of videos that are going to be coming out this week. There's going to be an AOK that I'll be unboxing. I'm going to do a video on how to buy comics on Instagram, because that's been a topic of discussion that has been coming up consistently. I'm going to do a video on how to buy what you love. And this is really geared towards, I think, new collectors and those that are newly returning to the hobby. But I even want to encourage those of you out there that are seasoned veterans to watch the video and to offer up some additional tips and words of advice to those that are newly coming to the hobby in one way, shape, or form. And then I'm also going to do a UV protection video. And because I do have UV protection here in the room, I wanted to upgrade. I wanted to do more, right? I'm always trying to do a little bit better. And so this is a video where I'll actually be showing you guys some UV protection that I've instituted here in the room, with the hope that it may actually help somebody else. All right. I think that is about it. So this is the 7,000 subscriber giveaway. This giveaway is available right now. You head over to the community tab, you plug in your information, and you are now in the running for that one. And then stay tuned this week, because this is the GoCollect giveaway, Strange Tales number 138. This is the book that is going to be given away this week. Has a pretty high FMV associated with that book. So I don't think you guys are going to want to miss that. I think that's definitely a cool book. But I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me just a little bit. I enjoyed this chat, as I do all of the chats that we have. If you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects, or you can send me an email to reggie@regiecollects.com. Shout out to all the Patreon members. Shout out to all of the individuals that dropped super chats in this live stream. And then shout out to all of the comic book soldiers that are watching this now, and those that also will be watching it on replay. I absolutely appreciate all of you. Be safe and take care.